Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scott C Business, and today we're here with Jason Nielsen, and we're going to be talking about a few different things: LBRY, the DLive acquisition, crypto, Twitter, EOS, bunch of different things. So let's just get into it. Actually, first, if you want to just like plug your channel as well, feel free to do that.
Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I'm online at Dragonwolf Tech on Twitter. My YouTube channel is Crypto Insights Journal, and Scott's been a great help to the channel. So make sure you guys subscribe to him and make sure you hit the like on this video.
Awesome. So I figured we'd start off with LBRY. If you wanted to just jump in and share a little bit about, you just had an interview with Jeremy Kaufman, the CEO there. So if you want to start off by sharing a little bit about that, we can just get started there.
Well, the reason why I wanted to speak to him was because I did a video of LBRY about a year ago, and this is before they did all of their updates. So it was a way for me to connect that video with the new video, and then I can get some comments from him. And we basically talked about the whole issue with YouTube and why people need to sync their YouTube channels to LBRY so that their content is automatically transferred over and they don't have to worry about losing it. My personal view is that whole crypto purge thing. I don't think that was an accident. I think they did that on purpose. And they were hoping that we wouldn't catch on. It was a test. And
to see maybe how loud the community was.
And see how loud the community would be. And if we could kick off a bunch of people, and it wasn't just crypto people, it was people in different areas too. But it was, I think it was like 30 or 40 channels that got kicked off at the same time. And you can't tell me that that's a mistake. You know, kicking me off, okay, that's a mistake. Kicking me and 39 other people off, that's not a mistake. You know, that's just my view on it. I'm probably never going to get my little symbol now that they send you when you get to a certain level of subscribers. Whatever.
But no, it's hard to call something like that a mistake. And I remember even seeing like some of the strikes that they put on videos, they never even undid, even though like they said the channel bans were a mistake, but they still left some of the different strikes, and a few of the things that they said were also a mistake they didn't actually end up undoing at the end of the day. So it's like, was it really a mistake if you're not even going to like take that back? Like, it's very, very suspicious. But yeah, no, it really seems like they were just kind of like testing the crypto waters to see what would happen. I wouldn't have even been surprised if they had just like left that all and let that happen, and then they launched like a YouTube token or something, right?
Well, I mean, and I think we talked about this when you're on my channel. It's only a matter of time before Google or Alphabet try to come up with their own crypto. I mean, we saw what happened when Facebook banned all the crypto ads on their platform. Next thing you know, here comes Libra, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if one day we all get kicked off of YouTube and lo and behold, here comes Gcoin or something like that, you know? I actually haven't even heard much about Libra in a while. So I probably have to look back into that. Have you heard anything about Libra in a while? Or the last thing I heard was that it was basically on his last leg because the government, the United States government, you're in Canada, two senators started sending around basically knock it off or we're coming after you letters. And they sent them to was it MasterCard and Stripe, I believe. And it was basically, you know, this is a nice store you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. You know? And that they dropped out, PayPal dropped out, a couple of other companies dropped out. So it's really nothing at this point. I mean, they may come back, but I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to drop Facebook from the association. That's the only way I can see this working, because Facebook is such an easy target. You know?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, they might have to just like go under a new name or just change it up somehow. But yeah, I mean, I doubt they'll fully give up on it after they acquired a bunch of different like blockchain companies, and I doubt they would just like let it go. But yeah, they're probably gonna have to rebrand and do a bunch of backflips to make it actually like work.
Right. Well, I mean, you think that most of the argument that those Congress people had was geared towards Facebook itself as a platform. Very few questions, except for some people who knew about crypto, were about Libra and how it could pose a threat to the United States dollar, etc. Most of it was about what you guys did in 2016.
Yeah,
right?
Fair enough, eh?
So you could tell that was what the real point of these hearings were. So what you'd have to do is Facebook would have to either take a back seat or disassociate altogether. And then what they could do if they still want to use Libra is just say, we accept Libra tokens on our platform, as opposed to we have a token that you can use.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Cause it was funny because they would say, like Mark would say to like I watched the live like the antitrust hearing on it. And they would say something like, well, like, how could we trust Facebook with this when we can't trust them with our data and our privacy? And he's like, oh, well, I mean, it's decentralized because all these different companies have 1%. And it's like, wait, and they're like, oh, decentralized, but it's like decentralized by the world's 100 like richest companies running this token. It's like, what do you think decentralized means? It's like, obviously they're going to act in the interest of Facebook, otherwise it like the value wouldn't be there. So it's like, yeah, it's just hilarious how they try to like spin that as like a decentralized token.
But now, okay, so I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second in defense of the Congress people. Facebook has given us no reason to believe that they would protect our privacy, or that this would eventually. And if you notice in the Libra white paper, it said decentralized, permissionless after a while.
Yeah,
it's not starting off that way. And I have a hard time believing anybody with control is willingly going to just give it away.
Yeah,
because once you give it away, you never get it back. So how do you do that? So I always have a dim view when any corporation, any government tells people that we're going to relinquish all of our power and give it back to you. All right, I'll see you in 20 years.
Yeah, and from my experience, even any platform that starts in a very centralized way that says eventually we will decentralized, it just doesn't happen, right? Like I've been on Tribe, which is probably the most popular EOS social media platform today.
Right.
And for years they've been saying, well, eventually we're going to decentralize. Eventually we're going to decentralize, because they have to approve every post you make manually, right? And they said, and I'm like, how is that? Like, that's worse than Facebook even. Like, you have to approve my post.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, eventually we're going to decentralize. Eventually we're going to decentralize. And you know who also said that? Hyperspace. And now they're gone. And and it's like, it's just, it doesn't hold up for me. Any platform that says, oh, eventually we're going to get better, it rarely happens. And another thing that I wanted to talk about today was DLive, because Tron recently acquired it, and they're going to give a lot more information on the 15th. But this is its third blockchain migration.
Okay, I know you had mentioned that before. So give me a little backstory on that, as far as you know, because I remember seeing DLive the first time when PewDiePie started talking about them. So what's the backstory on them? Because you said it's the third migration.
Yeah. So originally, when I first learned about DLive was about 2.5 years ago on Steam, when I was early on getting onto Steam. And DLive was on there for a while, and then they said, you know what, we're going to leave the Steam community and join up with a different blockchain. And they more or less abandoned that community, and a lot of people from Steam were really upset with them. Mm-hmm. And they started, they were working with the Lino blockchain, which was in testnet for so long, and it never actually launched a mainnet. And for years, it was saying, we're going to launch very soon, very soon. we're going to launch. They never launched. Their token was only sold on their website, not on any exchanges, so they controlled the price in its entirety. And every time I went back to look at the website, it was more centralized than before. So today, it's their policies for like withdrawing and getting your tokens are the same as whether or not you're earning them or you put money in and you want to get them back. So essentially, someone who is like 13 could buy tokens, but you have to be 16 to withdraw tokens. So you can't get your tokens back for years and years if you're young and you bought tokens, but they have an age restriction to withdraw. You also have to do full KYC to withdraw, and you have to withdraw a minimum of like $100 worth. So I would have to put money in because I bought Lino points, and then they had this minimum withdrawal. So I would have to put in more money or earn some to be able to get my money back. And now they have it so that only streamers can actually withdraw money. So you have to have streamed on the platform for 3 days and 8 hours worth of streaming. So a good amount of streaming, like you'd be streaming on there for a good amount of time, not you've been on the platform for 3 days. You'd actually streamed 3 days and 8 hours worth. So someone who puts their money in, like myself, who isn't a streamer and wants to get their money back, I literally cannot unless I start being a streamer. What? So you have zero control of your funds on this platform. And it's insane that people think that that is a good model. And the only reason it has any traction whatsoever is because PewDiePie is exclusively live streaming on DLive. So my thought is that it's not really like crypto and blockchain people that are on DLive. It's people who want an alternative to Twitch and see the allure of PewDiePie being there. So they all go on there thinking that this is some cool blockchain platform, but they have no idea that it's the most like centralized thing you could ever possibly end up on.
Okay,
so
let me oh my God, really? I had no idea it was that bad.
It is bad. I've done many videos on this now because I'm astounded that people still give it any time of day.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's backtrack a bit because all right, so you have three major, actually 3 or 4 major streaming platforms for gaming. You know, you have Twitch, Mixer, you can even say Facebook and YouTube. So here comes DLive, and DLive is, I mean, as far as platforms go, it's pretty good as far as the display. But we had talked about this before, where you had companies that were advertising themselves as blockchain who really weren't.
Yeah,
they had all the trappings of blockchain websites, right? Like there's a token, but they were completely centralized and completely, there's only one way in, one way out type situations.
Yeah.
And I looked at, because I was actually going to upload to DLive 2, and it was really complicated to get my content up there. I basically gave up. I was like, you know what, whatever. I'll just stick to what I've been doing, But I didn't know all that. And the thing of when I saw that Justin's son was getting involved with them, I was like, oh, here we go. And I have friends who are into Tron, right? So I'm not gonna shit talk Justin or Tron, but he has been behind some shenanigans. So it's like, all right, Justin, like, what are you doing now? Yeah. But no.
Yeah, and I mean, I just put out a video on this yesterday, and I literally said, like, look, I'm invested in Tron, so I would love to see them come in and turn the platform around and decentralize the heck out of it and just improve it. But like, if I'm being honest, I don't think they're buying this because they want to radically change it. I think they think this is a great setup and they want to capitalize on it. And obviously, buying up PewDiePie's influence. It's just a simple.
They have a ready-made platform. I mean, I don't have to do anything. I just have to buy it and put my label on it. The infrastructure is already there. The users are already there. So why not?
And people like it, clearly. So even though there's like a million restrictions on actually having access to your money, people are okay with that apparently. But again, I don't think it's like actual blockchain crypto savvy people, because they would be like, whoa, like this is ridiculous. This is the most centralized thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
Like how could anyone miss that, you know?
Right.
And some of the arguments that I had against my previous videos, like the only people who were upset with the videos that I pointed this stuff out were DLive streamers. And they would say things like, oh wow, like if you like, who cares about $20 that you put in? Why don't you just donate to someone and stop complaining? I'm like, it's not the money that I'm concerned about. It's the fact that you don't control or have access to your funds,
Right,
because of all these restrictions. It's like, it has nothing to do with me being concerned about $20. It's all about the actual like principle here. And that's what I think is so important. And while I don't think that Tron's actually going to come in here and radically change it, if they did, that would be amazing. And I have no doubt that Tron's probably going to go up in value for having acquired DLive. But I just don't think that they're actually going to fix DLive.
well, let me ask you about that. I'm sorry. Let me sorry. Do you think they'll get rid of DLive's currency and just change it to Tron, TRX?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a chance, because they're also merging it with the BeLive platform that they have, like the BitTorrent live streaming platform, which I haven't even really like seen or like taken a look at. But yeah, they're merging the platforms, so there's definitely a good chance that it'll end up being like Tron, because right now they have things called like lemons or like whatever point thing they use. And they were on the Lino blockchain before. So they're definitely abandoning the Lino blockchain, which was barely a blockchain. And now they're obviously going to Tron. So I do think they're going to still have the like front facing UI is still going to say like lemons or whatever it says now. But the actual like blockchain that you would withdraw in would probably be Tron. So there might be some like changes that they'll have to make, but I don't know if they're actually going to end up changing the like restrictions on the withdrawals, because the whole idea was that DLive was saying, oh well, we have all these restrictions because if you're earning money as a streamer, it's kind of like you're working as a, like it's a job, so you have to, you know, like prove your country of residence, and you have to be 16 or older to like earn and but then that was the same restrictions just for withdrawing your own funds that you put in yourself. Right. So it wasn't really about earning. It was really just about controlling the currency in its entirety. And they were trying to make it synonymous.
So what excuse did they use for that? Do they like consider it like staking?
No, they also have staking on Lino, but that's kind of separate from DLive. There aren't really any benefits to staking that they offer. But I mean, again, like Lino is going to be abandoned anyway. So that's kind of it. Like there's no other applications on Lino or anything. It was literally just for DLive. And they claimed to be independent, but they were both dependent on each other. Like you couldn't you couldn't withdraw your Lino points without going on to DLive. So they were that's why I don't even call it a blockchain. Like, how is it a blockchain if the only way I can withdraw my crypto is through one of your dApps, right? And not even like through the actual blockchain itself or any service or, you know, product on the actual blockchain. It was only through DLive that you could withdraw, and then it was only through Lino that you could acquire Lino points to be like participate in that network. So it was very weirdly codependent, but then they claimed to be, you know, it was just an independent third-party application on the Lino blockchain. I'm pretty sure Lino is going to be non-existent after this.
But that raises an interesting question: is why would Tron want to get involved with that? You know, it's not like they couldn't make their own streaming platform. In fact, if they did, it would be huge. But so, I mean, aside from just having a ready-made platform, it seems like it's going to be a PR nightmare because people are going to be asking these questions like you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Because originally, before no one was asking these questions, because these are just people who were Twitch streamers who were like looking for something better, because they don't take platform cuts like Twitch does. So in the eyes of a Twitch streamer, like that is much better for earning money. and that's like a good value proposition for like a regular person. But someone who's like looking at it from a blockchain crypto perspective, they're like, this is just a ridiculous platform that no one should be using. And I honestly think at the end of the day, it really just comes down to if we buy DLive and PewDiePie exclusively live streams on DLive, we just bought PewDiePie's influence for live streaming.
Right.
And as long as that doesn't change, then they're set. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see in a week. We'll get more information and we'll know then.
Well, we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, I guess so, eh? So yeah, do you have any more thoughts on that, or do you want to jump to the next topic?
Let's go.
Yeah. Can't bash Tron too much. I've got a bunch of Tron invested. Yeah. I mean, like I said, like in my video, I said I would love for me to be wrong about this, because and I would love that they would just decentralize, because I'm invested in Tron and I would love to see it do well. Yeah. So I would not want to see everyone, attack Tron and be like, why did you do this? And et cetera, et cetera. I mean, unless they don't improve it, then that's probably warranted. But anyways, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was EOS, and how for like almost like 3 months now, you can't really do much with any of the wallets or half of the dApps, because you can't make transactions because the CPU usage is just so high that like people can make transactions when they use certain wallets that will like provide CPU usage for you, but none of the dApps currently do that. And thus you can't actually make any transactions. So even though I've been posting on Tribe for the past 3 months, you can still post on it because everything on Tribe is off chain. But if I want to if I want to get some of my rewards, I can't do anything with that. I can't get my rewards. I can't even take back my EOS. I really can't do anything. And it's been for like months. And even if they improve it, what if this happens again? Like, EOS Voice is launching in February, so there's going to be a lot of problems coming their way.
Well, okay, so let me start by saying I've used EOS in the past. I haven't used it to build anything, though. I've used it as a how we use crypto, and what I did notice, at least recently, is that it takes a lot longer than it used to send things across their network. Like I was telling you before our interview started, I had won a contest and I received about $40 worth of EOS. And I wanted to send it to my wallet, and it took literally almost a day and a half for it to arrive. Yeah. That's ridiculous. So what do you think? Like what's do you think it's related to what you're talking about here?
I mean, I assume so. For the CPU usage, that's more for like if you have an EOS wallet, and you're trying to do something out of the EOS wallet. I don't know where you got where you were sending it from. Like if it was on an exchange or whatever it might be, that might have.
No, it was it was a wallet. So it was like I was sending it from just one wallet to another. I don't mess with exchanges.
So. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but if it's an EOS specific wallet, you need to have a ton of EOS staked to be able to do anything. But if it's just like a regular wallet, you should be able to just send it without any issues. But yeah, like with the network being so congested, I can see why that's like related. For me, I can't even make any transactions. It'll literally say your CPU, like your dedicated stake to your CPU is not enough to make us any transactions whatsoever. So I've been unable to do anything for almost 3 months now. Wow. And it just I actually stopped posting on Tribe very recently because I was just like, at this point I'm just wasting my breath, because like until it comes back on, like what am I doing here, right? And it's and that's why I'm concerned about all the EOS dApps for the future. And like what I spoke about yesterday on my video was that, I don't think people should really be considering, and I don't recommend people getting into different EOS social applications right now, because they won't be able to get their rewards or do any on-chain transactions, and they might get screwed if they end up trying to stake some EOS and then realize that they can't even get it back, and it'll just be locked in limbo, and they're unable to do anything at all with it.
Well, I remember, I believe it was last year, 2019, and EOS became really popular early 2019. I mean, people were talking about EOS as a direct challenge to Ethereum. And, you know, if you have a lot of people flock to a platform, but you don't shore up your infrastructure, this is the kind of stuff that happens. That's not to say that there's anything wrong with the EOS network, but it could be that they just weren't prepared for what they were advertising they could do, you know. And anybody, that can happen to anybody. That's not a slight against anybody in the EOS company. I know a few people who build DAX and they're happy with it, but it's like that argument about scalability, right? If you can't scale properly, you're going to cause more trouble than if you had just said use Bitcoin, right? I mean, so it's about being prepared for what you're trying to do. More people are coming into the space every day, and we're advertising this stuff as not only a financial solution, but also a business solution, that you can build websites, that you can build games, that you can build all this stuff. Well, okay, I'm here to build, but every time I try, I get hung up for a day and a half or something like that, you know, and why would I bother with that? Why would I come to EOS when I can go to Microsoft or Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want to be that platform, you need to be ready to go from day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even just from like a consumer perspective, it's like, if I could go and use Minds or LBRY or Steam or any number of applications that work flawlessly, why would I go through the effort of like not being able to make transactions, having to stake all this money just to be able to do something with the platform? It's like, and not to mention like a lot of the EOS platforms, like social platforms, because I'm usually more focused on like the social aspect. A lot of them don't really have many people on there, probably largely because of this, but there's not even a huge community on these anyways. So there's not a lot of like allure to even be joining them. Like the biggest one by far is Tribe. And like I mentioned before, it is also very centralized. All of your posts have to be approved. And it's been like that for years. And they've been saying, oh, we will decentralize, we will, but then they never did. And I really don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, and we already talked about people saying that they're going to go from centralized to decentralized. So, you know,
like no one's going to release power.
No one's going to release power. I mean, let's just be honest.
Exactly.
Well, it's if you think about it, that's why Bitcoin is the way it is. Satoshi created this thing, put it out into the network, and then walked away. Yeah. You know, and that's why you have a lot of people having a hard time with Craig Wright claiming to be Satoshi, because you're telling me that the person who created this thing walked away is now telling me he's going to sue people. Mm-hmm. That just doesn't add up. So you're telling me that a company that has for the last 10 years been a very centralized stranglehold on its technology is all of a sudden going to say, here you go. No, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it could happen, but it's just not very likely.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where you're seeing, like with, like you said, Tribe. I think you said that you have to get every post approved before they post it.
Yeah.
How decentralized, permissionless could that be?
Exactly. And it's like, and I don't know if it's because they want to censor certain topics or like, you know, there's no information really as to why they're even doing that. They'll just say, like, the best I've ever gotten out of them is like, oh, well, like we're still growing and we want to make sure everything is good. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Like, you know, like what you're trying to prevent spam, you could just, there's better ways to de-incentivize spam and whatever it might be. I mean, the token's not even worth anything, so you're not even making any money. And even if you made money, you can't take it because like you can't make transactions on the EOS blockchain. So I mean, yeah, like there's better ways to de-incentivize spam and low quality posts than manually approving everything that happens. And it's also not scalable. It's like, what if millions of people join Tribe tomorrow? How many days do you have to wait for your post to show up? Like, what if your post is time sensitive and then it shows up like 2 weeks later because everyone just joined the platform, right?
Well, that's what I was about to say and it goes back to about scalability. Yes, because if you, well, I mean, you just said it, but to reiterate, if I have to sit here and approve every single post before it can go up on my website, how long do you think it's going to be before people say, I'm going to a different website?
Not long.
Not long at all.
There's so many other alternatives that don't require that. So it's like, why set yourself up with this blockage, like this restriction, when just all these other places don't have this problem, and they're worth more, and they don't have issues with their transactions, and they have bigger communities, and it's like, all the reason to be on those platforms versus this one. And I always make the point of saying, like, the average person who's not super into crypto, like, again, blockchain social, if they were going to consider it, they're not joining like 5, 6, 7, 8 platforms. They're going on like 1, maybe 2. Right. And out of the many that exist that don't have these issues, why would they suddenly be, oh, well, Tribe, I'm going to go on Tribe?
Well,
like,
if you think about
there's no reason for them to.
Right. Well, if you think about it, and to that point, behind you is a publish 0x. I'm having a
like
brain
little light kind of thing. Yeah.
So I found publish 0x because a friend of mine knew that I was creating content, and she suggested that I use that platform. So that's what I did. It's through person to person. It's through referral. It's through recommendation. If you have an unscalable platform, no one's going to recommend that. So why put yourself through that headache? Be ready to go. Put yourself out there. Let people experience it. Let people come to enjoy using it, and then they'll bring their friends. But if you're a headache from day one, no one's going to want to bother with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like, to that point, like, they're not necessarily on the blockchain, but they're a really cool, different kind of platform where they're crypto agnostic. So it's a different approach, I guess, to that social aspect. And I feel like it's very easy for people to earn. Like, there's a less barrier of entry compared to something like Steam, where it takes a lot more time to kind of get going. But yeah, no, I think that's a really great one. And also shout out to Minds and Uptrend. I've got some other, and then Steam over at the back over there.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of Minds and Uptrend and Float. Have you seen Float app?
Yeah, I've recently been on there. I'm actually going to do an interview with Kingsley very soon, the CEO.
Nice. Yeah. And I mean, there are a lot of good platforms coming out there. I mean, it's not the norm to have issues like this, Yeah. It's not. And like I said before, it could happen to anybody. But some platforms are more prepared than others, and because of that, you see the ones that are actually going to last the longest. And that's just the way it is. I mean, like I said, I don't have anything against anybody who works at EOS or anything like that. I like EOS, but if you can't scale, you can't scale. Yeah,
and I mean, one other thing I'll briefly mention is the majority of dApps on Tron and EOS are gambling, right? 90+%. And there's games on there too, but in my humble opinion, a lot of those games are kind of like gambling. It's like, buy this thing and fight this thing, pay to fight this thing, and you might win another thing, or you might win like a worse thing, and it's all based on paying every time, and it's kind of like a chance to win something better. So it's a gamified gambling, and I'm sure some people who really like these games will be mad that I say that, but it really is true that it's really just like a gamified version of gambling. I think non-fungible tokens are really cool. but I also think it's largely just like a prettied up version of gambling for the most part.
I mean, if we're being honest, it is. I mean, you know, and it's okay. You have to get people in here one way or the other. I mean, if gambling and gaming is your stick, then go for it. But I think if we put too much into the gaming aspect of it, not gaming like gambling aspect of it, people are going to take a dim view of it because we already have a dim view of gambling as it is. So we don't want that stigma on blockchain technology. It can do so much more than just that.
Yeah. And when like 90+% of it is gambling, it's like, okay, well, this is a gambling platform. Right. Like that's what it is. It's a gambling network. And I don't want that to be the case. Like I would rather see different applications. And someone posted on my video today and they said, well, have you seen this ride sharing program on I think it might have been EOS or Tron, but and they're like, well, look at this. And I look at it and it's like not available in Ontario. And I was like, okay, well, like they're like, oh, well, this is great in Montreal. And I was like, great, but like I literally the first sentence I started with for this like video, and like it's also in the description, is there are some things outside of gambling and gaming, but a lot of them are not fully operational or usable by everyone. And then I just quoted that back to him. I was like, I can't use this. So like, that's exactly the problem. And it's like, ride sharing would be cool. Like if there was like a crypto Uber, would be cool if everyone could use it, but they can't. So, and it's like, and I'm just outside Toronto. That is a very, very popular, like populated area. So if people here can't use it, then like, you know, like it's, I mean, maybe it's more of like Canadians don't have as much access. It might be more popular in the US, but I mean, it only had like 10,000 downloads. So I don't think it's got a lot of adoption because you've got to have drivers and users. So
well, this is kind of my problem with the way the space is going. We're trying to build all these nifty things, apps and gaming and business platforms. We still haven't shown people how to get the stuff on their phones properly yet. So maybe slow down and focus on the user side instead of the builder side for a moment. The Tron, EOS, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, whatever. How do I get it and how do I use it? And then tell me about your game.
Yeah.
Right? If I can't, and then what if I live in an area, or if I have a phone, like I have an older Android phone that I use to as a secondary wallet. So I don't have to put it on my main phone.
Yeah.
There's only like 3 Bitcoin wallets I can use on this thing because it's so old. So that's just me not wanting to buy a new phone. Some people are stuck with that.
Yeah.
And you're wanting them to go on some gambling website when they can't even get a hold of crypto to begin with. So maybe we focus on that for a little while.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's really no reason why a crypto wallet needs to require so much CPU or something that you would need like the newest phone to support it, right? Like it's not like you're playing some crazy high-tech advanced game on your phone. It's like the simplest thing ever. It's like this should not require the latest OS to operate. Right? This should be super backwards compatible with so many different older versions. Like it's just so basic. A wallet should take very little space. Like it shouldn't really be that much of an issue. So yeah, to your point, like it should be much easier for people to be able to get wallets in and have these kinds of things on their phone, regardless of the OS or whatever it might be.
Well, that's one reason why when I introduce people to crypto, if they don't have a newer phone, I always introduce them to Cointext first, and that's a Bitcoin Cash application, and it uses texting, SMS text, to send crypto back and forth. And you don't need a smartphone. You can use a regular phone as long as you can receive SMS text. So where is the Bitcoin network on that? where is the Tron network on that? Why am I only hearing this from like 3 companies? Yeah, as far as I know right now, Cointext does it, Dash does it, and I believe they do it on the Dash network. And there's one more that slips my mind right now, but those 2 anyway enable people to send crypto without having to have high-tech phones. And it's like, well, where's wrong with the rest of you? Like, come on, get on this thing,
Yeah, I actually didn't know about that. I'm definitely going to look into that, because I think that'd be really good to share with people. Yeah. Because like the easier it is for just anyone to use, the more adoption you're going to get. Like my parents are not very good with smartphones, and they wouldn't want to like download wallets and do all this different stuff. But like if they're like, okay, like maybe if I could just text them, like I'll consider it, right? And the more accessible it is, the more people that are going to be using it.
Well, and then you also have the issue of some people are they have a phone that could be current, but the app isn't on that platform. Like, I wanted to use Samurai Wallet. I can't put that on an iPhone unless I jailbreak it, and I'm not going to do that. These wallets that let you generate random addresses. I think that's a must going into 2020 crypto. But very few wallets do that, and even fewer do it on iOS. So where's the compatibility coming from? When are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, we need to get further in the space. And I mean, we're still so early. Like we're still like the pioneers at this point. And but I think we're getting closer and closer and closer. Like with having like ENS, like .eth domains, and now like I've got like a crypto Visa and a crypto debit. And it's like, we're definitely getting closer. Not enough people know about these things, but we're definitely getting closer to like the average person being able to use crypto. And once we're solidly there, like I know, I think Samsung in the for their future phones are going to all have crypto wallets by default on the phone. So like that's the kind of thing that is going to be game changing. Like people who don't even know about crypto are just going to be like, what is this thing on my phone? Like, what's this app? And and they'll just learn about it.
My only concern about any time a company says they're going to do that, because at Litecoin Summit, Ballet displayed their wallet. It's a hard wallet. I should have brought it. And it comes with everything you need on it. Your keys are on it and everything, and it doesn't require you to use a phone. The problem is I bought this thing with a private key on it. So where else is that private key being stored? Because obviously you wrote it down somewhere else before you put it on this thing, because you have to keep track of them. I question any company that says we're going to do something that you can use, because they're storing it somewhere. And if proof of keys wasn't that long ago, not your keys, not your Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So what stops them from saying, okay, well, this is illegal in South Korea now, so yoink, right?
Sure.
So I'm always suspicious of anyone who says we're going to give you something pre-installed. I've been in IT too long.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. Yeah. But no, I'm definitely going to look into that after this and maybe make a video on that, because I definitely think being able to access crypto with just SMS is pretty cool. And I think it'll be relevant to some people who don't actually have smartphones or whatever it might be. Do you want to talk about like crypto Twitter and the different stuff happening on there, and maybe before we get into like the drama, I wanted to touch on some of the new well, maybe not totally new, but like how you can send tips to people with different currencies, and how you can run like giveaways. Because I just tried this the other day, and I was actually like blown away by the results I got from. I mean, people like free crypto, obviously,
I do.
but I was blown away by the results. On one of my posts, I just gave away like $1.60 of USDT, and it got over 100 retweets. And if you think about that, even just in terms of like, I'm a social media marketer outside of like the crypto world. And if I were to like spend on Twitter advertising to do the same thing, $1.60 wouldn't even get me like remotely close to what that achieved, right? And so like that, I thought that was crazy. And I guess again, people like their free crypto. It's much different. I think it's better that you're giving the money to the users than giving the money to Twitter, right? So I think that's definitely a better way to do it. And obviously the people prefer that. But yeah, like what do you think of like crypto giveaways and the tip bots and stuff? I think the tip bots are a little more lucrative, but the giveaways are really interesting to me.
Well, okay. I'm all for giving crypto away because you have to get it out there. You have to build awareness. The problem is with all of these airdrops and contests and giveaways is that this stuff is all taxable. So people are being subjected to tax regulation that they didn't know existed because yesterday I wasn't in crypto. You know, so when you start throwing around crypto the way it is without first educating the people on, you know, hey, where do you live? Oh, I live in Canada, or I live in the United States. Okay, so let's look at, is it even legal for you to have this stuff? You know, the internet being international, global, you know, universal thing, you can send crypto to whoever you want, and unless they're blocked from communicating with you specifically, they can have it. But that doesn't mean the country that they're in, if they find out they have it, won't come after them. So I don't say we should stop doing it. I think we should consider before we do it.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really good point. I wonder what like the legality of like, do you actually own the crypto if I send it to you in a tip on Twitter, but it exists like I can't get the funds unless I message, you know, CC tip bot or whatever. They've got the funds in my name on my username, right? Like it's not even my actual name. It's under my username on Twitter. And the only way I could get it from them is like by DMing them and then withdrawing it to a wallet. And then, because what if you don't even own a wallet? Do you actually own that crypto like legally and taxably? You know, like, yeah. So there you go. Like, right. Like if you don't have a key, then I guess it's not your crypto. So, you know, maybe that's something to consider. Maybe I should make a video about that where it's like, before you actually do withdraw any kind of earned tips on like Twitter or wherever it might be, you know, definitely consider your country's regulations and make sure you're aware of all of that before you actually go and actually withdraw it. But I would assume that until you actually like get it, it's not really yours because like they're holding it for you if you want to take it.
I already know some of the responses we're going to get on this conversation. And the thing is, a lot of us have a cypherpunk mentality, you know, where we're like, F the government, right? You know, from my cold dead hands, right? Yeah. But not everybody who's in this space or coming into the space is going to have that mentality. They're not going to look at coin joins. They're not going to look at mixers. They're not going to look at all this other stuff. You told me that you have Bitcoin that you're going to give me. You gave it to me. Now what? Is the extent of the conversation that they're going to have. Yeah. So when they hear on TV that their country is banning this stuff and only drug dealers and terrorists use it, like they normally put out on TV for some reason, that's going to turn people off, you know? And so we have to consider that you're not only are we dealing with regulation, we're dealing with a PR issue, right? And so before we start, you know, oh, I'm giving away this much. Well, okay, let's slow down, back up a bit. You're giving it away and the person who won it is what's that country that just banned crypto trading? I think it was Qatar. Just banned crypto trading. So a person in Qatar wins your giveaway, and they're on a network that's being monitored by their government. And you just put on Twitter that this person just won. Next thing you know, they're getting a knock on the door like, hey, we saw that you won some crypto. You know, and it's just like, I don't think we consider that when we start throwing this stuff around, you know, and
yeah.
And it's if you don't care and you're about fighting the power, then handle your business. But if we're trying to get mom and dad in this kind of stuff who aren't trying to fight the power, we got to be more considerate of what we're putting out there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, and I guess the thing that I thought was cool though with the giveaway that I did was it's like an automatic giveaway where like I give the funds to this bot, and then as soon as someone retweets or likes the post, they'll just automatically get the crypto via a DM from the bot. So I just thought that was really cool. Like an innovative way to do a giveaway where it's I don't even have to monitor it.
That's very cool.
Yeah, like and like the different tip bots, like there's like a LBRY token tip bot, like LBC tip bot.
I see that.
Yeah, there's tons of cool like little tip bots where it's like, yeah, like when I originally joined LBRY, Jeremy actually was like, yeah, like sent me via like some LBC via a tip bot on Twitter, and he's like, yeah, welcome to the community, here's some LBC. And I was like, that's so cool that we have all this integration with like Twitter now, and you can help spread awareness and do all these different things.
Well, there's another one called what is it? It's called Dropbit, and you can send crypto via Twitter handle, right? Instead of an address, you put it in their Twitter handle, and it goes across to them. But we live in relatively free societies, right? We can pretty much do whatever we want on the internet, and unless we just get crazy with it, no one's going to bother us or even say anything, really.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of the way that you see these countries going, especially, and it kind of goes back to our conversation about Libra. Countries are threatened by this stuff. Yeah. And we're going online and we're promoting it. And I think that it's one of those issues where we're promoting it from a free society to people who may not be in a free society. And we just have to keep that in mind. We have to be better about it than just flinging the stuff all over the internet. Like, hey, come and get it. Well, think about it first before you do it. Not saying don't do it. I'm saying think about it and make sure that you're being cognizant of who the person on the other end of this may or may not be. If you don't care, then go for it.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes me think I should definitely put out like a PSA, like, hey, like I do giveaways, but like, check your regulations, do everything on your side before you decide to participate or whatever it might be. I don't want people getting their like a knock on the door from the government because I sent them like one Steam or something. I
know I'm being extreme with that, but there's a reason why you can't access certain exchanges without a VPN, and that's why. Right? There's a reason why you can't watch certain TV shows in certain countries. So we have to be cognizant of that. And like I said, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be cognizant of what it is you're doing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So do you want to jump into the more dramatic crypto Twitter stuff going on?
That wasn't dramatic enough.
No, that's just the like tax and regulation side. That's completely like outside of the drama. So if you wanna lead off on what you mentioned earlier, we can dive into that.
All right. So recently, there's been a bit of a row on Twitter where someone posted a meme of Samson Mao of Blockstream, and it basically said, well, he was holding a picture of a box, a Transformers box, and for people who don't know the story, and next to that picture was a picture of his girlfriend in the arms of another guy, and the caption was "You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about." And I see shit posting on Twitter all the time, and I feel like, oh, that's funny, and then go about my day. Well, apparently Samson didn't feel that way, and it became a thing. And it became such a thing that the person who posted it, Carbon Base, got kicked off of Twitter. And for you to be kicked off, for you to be deplatformed from Twitter, that issue had to have gone to a very high level, because Twitter doesn't typically do that unless there's just a swell of complaints.
Yeah.
So, like what we were saying earlier, is that if you're going to promote yourself as a toxic anything, you need to be ready for toxicity to come back to you. Yeah. And I don't think Samson was ready for that. And
yeah, that's fair.
It's one of those things, and like I said, well, let me say this: I don't have a problem with Samson at all, and I know Lena. She's a great person, and I support her 100%. But if you're gonna call yourself toxic, you need to be ready for toxic people to show up. And Twitter's a dumpster fire already, with plenty of toxic people on it. So game on.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why, like how when we first started talking, we spoke like normal people. I wasn't speaking to you as a persona, and you weren't speaking to me as a persona. We were just two guys on Twitter, and here we are.
Yep.
Right. I didn't have a I hate XRP, or you didn't have a Craig Wright is a fraud. We didn't do that.
No.
And that's I think that's why we have such drama here, is because you have these different camps. A lot of the people who went in on Samson were people who didn't like either. It could have been personal, it could have been they didn't like Blockstream, and it could be that they didn't like Bitcoin. So you had these camps weighing in from different sides on this one issue.
Mm-hmm.
He was an easy target because he called himself a toxic Bitcoin maximalist. All right, let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Right? You can't, if you're on TV calling yourself some gangbanger or mafioso, you probably shouldn't be surprised when one day somebody comes and tests if you're really a gangster or mafioso. Right? You're putting it out there. Don't put it out there. It's not necessary. Right? Being toxic, being a toxic maximalist of anything hasn't yet got any of these coins to the moon. Not one. Okay? Bitcoin is where it's at because Bitcoin was the first, and Bitcoin is the most well known. Has nothing to do with people shit talking on Twitter at all. And for some reason, we just, that doesn't compute with some people. I respect you, you respect me. Let's talk about Bitcoin and go about our day. That's all.
Yeah. I guess people get like wrapped up in it because it's like obviously their finances are tied to how it performs, and it's like once your financial, like how well your finances are going to be or how bad they're going to be, it's like people are obviously going to get really wrapped up in that, and then like take it to the next level, and I guess that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, well, it's tribalism, and unfortunately, tribalism has become a mainstay in crypto Twitter, and it's even to a point where you have people who call it crypto Twitter versus Bitcoin Twitter, right? What's that have to do with anything?
Yeah, it's just like a moot point.
Right. It's like, all right, you know, and so it's a question of toxicity, it's a question of tribalism, and it's a question of maturity. And I don't think we have enough. Well, let me put it this way: we have a lot of mature, dedicated people in the space. They're just not the loud ones. The people who are shit posting and people who are causing drama, they're the loudest. So it's time for the people who are about what this stuff is actually about to speak up. You know, that's just, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think it's probably also just because, like, I feel like right now with politics and culture and journalism in the state that it's in, I think we're living in the era of, like, we kind of got out of the era of, like, well, we're still within the era of fake news and clickbait and everything, but now it feels like we're kind of transitioning into, or we're already in the era of rage bait, where it's more the most profitable thing that you can do and the most likes that you're going to possibly get is not from fake news and it's not from clickbait, it's from rage bait. And I think that is what we're seeing today.
Yeah. And that whole thing with that picture, it was so, I mean, it could have just been over in a matter of minutes. But people got defensive and people started picking sides. And then the rage bait kicked in because then other people started tweeting it and started adding their own spin to it. And it just blew up. And then all of a sudden, someone filed a, what's it called? A DMCA. It's like a cease and desist type thing, claiming that Carbon Base put up copyrighted pictures. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but most people on Twitter put up copyrighted pictures. It's sharing.
Yeah, I mean, any meme, yeah.
Right? So it's like, well, if that's
Baby Yoda is everywhere, right?
I mean, come on. I love Baby Yoda. I mean, so
who doesn't? Who doesn't?
Right? So it's like, well, okay, so you just filed a copyright claim on Twitter for someone posting a picture. Where does it end from there?
Yeah.
Right? We're going to be back to message boarding each other. That's right. So it's just I've noticed that the people who are actually building this stuff don't come on Twitter much. You know, like Vitalik went on he did a long stream of tweets the other day, but I don't see Vitalik posting that much, because he's busy, right? And it's just I think there's a level of maturity that we need to start developing. And unfortunately, Twitter doesn't help any, because that's the way Twitter loves this stuff. I mean, they do. They love it. But it's not helping us out. It's not helping me if all I'm doing is talking crap about you. It's not helping you if all you're doing is talking crap about me. We're not going to grow this way. And I get kind of worked up about it because I respect a lot of people in a lot of different camps. I talk to BSV people. I talk to Bitcoin people. And we know how they feel about each other, right? Yeah. So it's like, well, but that doesn't mean I have to disrespect you. And I think that's just where we need to be. We need to respect each other more.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting about this whole situation? I feel like it's rarely about what was actually said or done, and it's more about how offended the offended party is and how much they're going to stir things up, how many people are going to report it.
Right.
I don't think it's actually, because there's way more egregious examples that you could look at. Yeah. But it's like, it's really just who is more offended and who's going to report this the most at the end of the day. It's not actually the thing that was said as much as it is like the effects or the consequences or the results of what people feel and do after that.
I mean, put it this way. If you go on Twitter right now and say something negative about XRP, there's no limit of accounts that are going to come after you for that. If you say something negative about Bitcoin, there's no limit of accounts that are going to come into you about that. But some of these platforms do have problems. you know, like you said something about DLive, and then all these DLive supporters started coming after you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But that doesn't change the fact that DLive has problems,
yeah.
right? Sure, you could shout me down until I delete my Twitter account. You still have a problem over here that you need to address.
Mhm.
And for some reason, that just doesn't compute. It's like, you know, all I want to do is fight.
Yeah. And and I always say, like, in a lot of my videos, I say, like in the one I posted yesterday about Tron and EOS, I said I would love to be wrong about this. I would love for someone to be like, "Oh, well, actually, you missed this," and da-da-da. I'd be like, "Great, because I'm invested in Tron, so awesome." But I'm not doing it because I'm going after Tron. It's like I'm just sharing what is happening, and like it's like I'm not. People say, "Oh, it's his opinion," or he's making assumptions. It's like, well, look, I do a screen share. I show you. I read it off of the screen, off the DLive website, like. There's no interpretation or any. It's just like that's what it is.
But that's the
And I right, yeah, exactly. And I try to be as unbiased as possible. It's like this is just what it is, and I want this to be fixed, so I'm pointing it out. And I would love for Tron to get wind of this and then be like, okay, look, yeah, we'll try to fix these issues or whatever it might be. I would love that to be the case, and that would be the greatest outcome for me talking about this and pointing these things out. It's not because I want people to like dump all their Tron and then all the other people who hold Tron are like, oh, screw this guy. It's more like, let's fix these problems, not like, because if you hide the problem, eventually it's going to come out, whether it's me who points it out or whatever it might be. It's not like, because then people who buy in are going to feel like they got scammed because they didn't know that there was an issue, and then or whatever it might be. I think the most important thing is just putting information out there, and I always say, like, I would love for someone to prove me wrong or to show me how I missed something or whatever it might be. I would love for that to happen. And I can't remember who said this, but they said like it was maybe like a famous philosopher or something. He said the only way that you can be right is if you're willing to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Right. And that's how you can always be right. As long as you're willing to be wrong, you can always be right.
I like
and
that.
if you're not willing to be wrong, then there's a chance that you are wrong and you can't be right because you're stuck in your ways. So as long as you're always willing to be potentially wrong, then you will always be right at the end of the day, because you can change your viewpoint. And I think that is what people need to internalize on Twitter and really just anywhere in the cryptoverse or in general, and just in life in general too. So I think that's an important takeaway.
Well, I mean, and to close it out, when was the last time you saw someone from Visa talk crap about someone from American Express on Twitter? Right? If we want a financial system of the future, we're gonna have to change some things. It's just what it is.
Yeah, and that's true, right? It's because, well, I mean, it's also because like their finances aren't. It's not like, unless you have like Visa stock or like American Express stock, it's not so much like you're invested in them as if you were holding Tron or whatever it might be. So I'm sure people get more, like I said earlier, people get tied up in the emotions based on their finances and how that'll be affected. But but no, you're right. Like there shouldn't be only, like there's way more tribalism in the crypto community than there is in just like the regular financial community.
Well, and it's also it becomes a lifestyle after a while. Right? Like we have the term Bitcoiner, right?
Yeah.
So that gives you some type of identity. And so people's identity becomes wrapped up in this stuff. Like I was talking to a girl on crypto the other day, and she calls herself crypto agnostic, right? I don't have a particular coin that I like over another one.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially in our line of work as content creators, more of us need to go there. Because when you have, like, if I have Litecoin all over everything, to a point, even though I may say this is not financial advice, I am hyping a certain thing above something else, right?
Yeah.
It's right there. I have a Bitcoin logo. Obviously, I wanted to send out the message that I like Bitcoin. So, people are going to get their own assumptions from what you put out. So when you put out that you like a particular coin and you're attacking other people, you're going to get the people you're going to develop a negativity towards what you like.
Yeah.
And it just steamrolls from there. It just goes on and on and on. And it's not going to help. I mean, seriously, we need to treat each other better. I understand that we're all about freedom of speech and freedom of expression in this space. We talk about that all the time. But I don't need to treat you like crap to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's more important than backing any one coin is backing good coins. And that's the only thing that's important.
That's true. And there's that's absolutely true. You know, some of these coins are going nowhere. Some of them aren't even worth the time we put in to talk about them. But that doesn't give me the right to shit talk you. Mm-hmm. If that's the coin you like, it doesn't give me the right to behave that way towards you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it. And for people who might be just jumping in, this is in reference to crypto Twitter. But we're creating the future. They're building it. We're talking about it. More people are going to come. But if all they see is people being mean to each other, they're not going to want to stick around. And it's just what it is. The internet doesn't forget. It knows when you said something about somebody's girlfriend or somebody's boyfriend or somebody's parents or whatever. It knows. It won't forget. So why make that the primary expression of this space? Mm. And that's just me. I'm not caffeinated enough to really keep doing this.
Yeah. I made it my New Year's resolution to just drink herbal green tea, so I am off coffee entirely. And to wake myself up in the morning, I also subscribe to cold showers, and it is awful, but I am doing it. And that's how I get caffeinated now. So
I hear that that's actually good for you, that you should do that. But yeah, I'm not going to do that.
I feel like it is doing, like, it is better, but it is literally like the most challenging thing to do every time I attempt it. Like, it never gets easier, but it's definitely it's got good results, but it never gets easier. It's always like, like flinching before you're getting in the cold shower and just like pushing through it, and
definitely wake you up, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, better than coffee has ever done. So yeah, those are my New Year's resolutions. My most important thing for me is to reach 500 videos this year, and my hope for this year is that the Bitcoin halving is phenomenal, and we all make tons and tons and tons of crypto.
Well, I'm with you on that one.
All right. Well, I think we've been on here for an hour and almost 15 minutes, so I think we could probably call it. Is there anything else you want to leave off with or mention before we end this?
Well, before we go, I want to give a shout out to the Crypto Blockchain Plug in Inglewood, California. They let me come in here today to film a couple of interviews. If you're in the Los Angeles area, everyone, they're at 614 East Manchester Boulevard, Inglewood, California. Come by. They have everything you need for your crypto experience. So I just wanted to point that out. Awesome.
Yeah. And thank you for them. I'm thanking them for allowing you to be able to come on and do this, and also thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure when we get to raff about everything going on, and yeah, no, this was good. I think I learned about the SMS stuff, so that's going to be really interesting to dive into, and I'm pretty sure anyone tuned in, they probably learned a little bit about something in the crypto space, hopefully, and everyone watching, let us know in the comments if you did learn anything new and anything you took away from this, and any insights you gained, or anything you'd like to share that maybe we missed, or whatever it might be. Feel free to just drop that in the comments below, and make sure to follow both of us on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere that you can find us. Probably not so much on YouTube. We still want your subscribes on YouTube, but we'd rather you follow us on the alternative platforms nowadays. But yeah, throw a like on the video if you like this, and make sure to check both of our channels out.
Yes, please. All right, thanks, Scott. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks. Cheers.